look into CASA and get involved, and being a part of the community means supporting everyone in the community, and this is a great way to do it.
Today, CASA of West Texas swore in one of their biggest training classes to become official volunteers. We have the full details on what it takes to do just that coming up in just a few minutes. Good evening, and thanks for joining us here for First Alert 7 News at 9 on the CW. And thanks to those of you joining us live on our First Alert 7 YouTube page. I'm Jay Hendricks in for Lauren Munt, and we start tonight with continuing coverage. The Midland Firemen's Relief and Retirement Fund Board of Trustees have finally taken a step toward stabilizing the firefighters' pension fund. In a unanimous vote this afternoon, the board agreed to move forward with a revised plan designed by firefighter trustees to address financial shortfalls in that fund. Earlier in the day, a special city council meeting was also held, and Midland City Manager presented the council with a summary of the firefighters' proposal, but the council did not make a decision. Options still on the table for funding include a municipal bond, a lump sum from city reserves, or annual funding from the general fund, a measure that could require Midland voters' approval.
If we look at the problems that we face with the City of Midland and the Firefighter Fund, we have the unfunded liability that has accrued over a period of 20 plus years. We also have a disparity of payroll and the total compensation conversation that has taken place. And then we have the governance and the investment performance concerns. All of those are problems that the Firefighter Fund and the city face.
This proposal, developed with the actuarial firm Rudd and Wisdom, included a 5% reduction in retirement benefits for firefighters. However, these cuts will only move forward if approved by a majority vote of 51% of the Midland Fire Department firefighters. The second part of the plan, that is, adds a risk-sharing mechanism, potentially raising firefighters' contributions to their pensions from 14.2% to a maximum of 17.2% of their paychecks.
Any plan change is going to affect every firefighter different. We have a range of guys that got hired at 35 years old all the way to guys that got hired at 20 years old. Well, any change is going to affect each one of those members differently, and we want to make sure that everybody knows what the effect is to them and how it's going to affect their future, their family's future for the rest of their life.
If required, the city would match this increase. If both parts of this plan fail firefighters' approval, the next step would be the city council approving a contribution to a cash infusion into the fund. This infusion is crucial to aligning the fund with state requirements for a 30-year amortization period as mandated by the Pension Review Board. There is yet to be a date set for Midland City Council to vote on that resolution. We're going to talk your weather forecast now. If you've been outside tonight, it is a cool one across West Texas. Temperatures definitely dropping, feeling more like we should feel this time of year. Right, Tom?
That's exactly right, as we are seeing relatively quiet conditions now, but it was blustery earlier and things were a little on the cool side. We're seeing temperatures drop down into the upper 50s. Still have some clouds out there, but a lot of the green showing up is a mid to high level cloud, and we're really not seeing too much in the way of rain across the area. In fact, here's a look at Andrews right now, where we're seeing, again, a few clouds out there. The winds have come around to the northwest with that front, bringing in that chillier air, but they're below 20 miles an hour sustained, and gusts around 20 miles an hour in a few spots, especially up here Seminole in the Hobbs area. Alpine a gust up to 22 at the present time, as temperatures again are really starting to cool off. We're down to 49 in Jow right now, 45 in Hobbs. So still the upper 50s, the coldest air yet to move in across the Permian Basin, but it will do so overnight tonight as we're going to bottom out into the upper 30s to low 40s. So bundle up first thing Election Day morning, Tuesday morning.
Election Day is tomorrow. There are elections happening on the local, state, and national levels. Some of you may have voted early, but if you haven't, let's preview some of your most anticipated local races for you. In Ector County, all eyes are on the race for mayor between Cal Hendrick and Javier Hoven. We're also keeping an eye on the city council at-large seats and seats in District 1 and 2. We're also keeping an eye on a proposition for Medical Center Hospital and a bond for Odessa College. You can find details on these items as well as debate recaps up on our website, firstalert7.com. Meanwhile, in Midland County, we're following races for County Commissioner and County Constable in Precinct 3, the City Council at-large seat, the City Council District 1 seat, and seats for the Midland ISD School Board in Districts 1, 2, 4, and 7. You can review debates for most of these races on our website as well. As we said, tomorrow is Election Day, and you, as well as many others, may be feeling a bit stressed out and anxious about the outcome of some of these elections. With heated elections in local, state, and national levels, it's important to remember to take a step back and try to relieve that stress. The high levels of stress and anxiety could actually harm your health if you allow it. Some of the ways you can reduce that stress is by taking a walk outside, playing with your pets, or making plans with your family. But people can also get distracted by seeing election news on television or social media platforms, which is a high stressor. So it's important to take a screen break as well.
People are just immersing themselves in so much, conflicting information that just feeds that people are not being able to sleep at night. So sometimes just taking a step back, knowing that you are doing what you can do to support the platforms or the candidate that you want to.
Edwards also says if the election outcome is not what you were hoping for, it is important to move on and focus on life and family. Almost half of the registered voters in Texas have already cast their ballots. The state Secretary of State office says there are just over 18.6 million registered voters in Texas. More than 8.9 million Texans cast their votes early. That's around 48%. That is around 1 million less than the numbers of early votes cast in the 2020 election, which was around 9.7 million. Tomorrow's election is shaping up to be one of the most tightly contested presidential contests of all time. Our Washington News Bureau correspondent Brendan Cullerton is live in Washington with what to expect when those polls close.
National polls remain deadlocked between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, but more importantly, both candidates are polling extremely close in the 7 swing states that could determine the election. Those states can be broken up into 3 groups. Donald Trump has generally held a narrow lead in the southeastern states, Georgia and North Carolina. He's also generally held small leads in the western states of Arizona and Nevada. But Kamala Harris can lose all of those states if she wins this final group, the so-called blue wall states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Harris has held small leads in Michigan and Wisconsin, but Pennsylvania remains a toss-up, leading many to believe it will be the most significant state of the cycle. It also holds the most electoral college votes of any swing state with 19. Several of these swing states have state laws that make them count ballots slower than others. The closer the election is, the longer it will take to decide, both because states will have to count ballots that might take a little longer, such as provisional or mail-in ballots. It will also open up the possibility of recounts and lawsuits. Reporting in Washington, I'm Brendan Cullerton.
The Justice Department says it is sending election monitors to 86 counties in 27 states on Tuesday to ensure the integrity of the general election. That is 49% more monitors since 2020 and the most in 2 decades. The announcement comes amid growing concerns of improper partisan influence and potential voter suppression at election sites. This is according to the federal government, by the way. All 7 of the contested swing states are on the Justice Department's list, along with a mix of predominantly red and blue states. Officials with some red states are pushing back. The secretaries of state in Florida and Missouri said federal monitors will not be allowed access to voting locations in their states. Since the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Justice Department has dispatched government officials to voting sites to make sure vulnerable populations have access and to prevent unlawful partisan interference. In the final hours before the polls open on Election Day, the presidential candidates are making their final arguments to voters in battleground states. The races of those 7 states are still too close to call. CBS's Christian Benavides has the latest.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump hit the same 2 Pennsylvania cities Monday night in a final push to get their supporters to the polls.
Tomorrow is Election Day, and the momentum is on our side.
If we win Pennsylvania, we win the whole ball of wax. It's over.
Of the 7 battleground states, the Keystone State is the biggest prize with 19 electoral votes.
We need everyone in Pennsylvania to vote because you are going to make the difference in this election.
Harris barnstormed in Pennsylvania all day, pushing a message of unity and never mentioning Trump by name. In the city of Reading, she visited a Puerto Rican restaurant and even knocked on doors, telling a surprised family she was there to earn their votes. She's outperforming Trump by 13 points when it comes to women, many of whom have been motivated by the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
I don't even sleep, you know.
Trump hit 3 states Monday, including North Carolina, a state he won twice and can't afford to lose. He kept up his personal attacks and unveiled a new proposed tariff against Mexico.
If they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country, I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America.
Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, stopped here in Atlanta Monday. CBS News Battleground Tracker shows a narrow lead for the Trump campaign in Georgia, and the state could play an outsized role in the election once again.
Late Monday, Georgia's Supreme Court ruled 3,000 voters in Cobb County who didn't get their absentee ballots on time will not get extra days to cast a ballot. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Atlanta.
Officials in just about every state have been working to ensure that this year's election is the most secure ever for voters and that voters are safe at the polls. Nevada has put its National Guard on standby, and at least 6 other states, including Arizona and North Carolina, have activated Guard troops. While school was out for ECISD students today, class was in session for the teachers there. As part of their district-wide staff development day, ECISD trained over 1,800 teachers in youth mental health first aid. The training today gave educators more tools and skills to recognize and support students that face mental health challenges like anxiety, ADHD, depression, and more. It includes a 5-step action plan that prepares staff in assisting students during both crisis and non-crisis situations.
We aren't expecting our teachers to become counselors or to become mental health experts, but we do want to at least give them the resources that they know that, hey, if I see a student that's struggling with this, I know exactly who I need to call or the steps or procedures to take when that student is in crisis.
This is one of the largest in-person trainings done in Texas. Not knowing when or how to deal with a child that's dealing with mental health challenges can be difficult. One of the earliest and biggest signs to look out for, according to the teachers there, is a change in their behavior.
It's going to be that change in behavior. It could be a positive thing or it could be a negative thing. But when you really see that change in behavior, maybe if your student is not one of those who is constantly failing and now they're failing a class, they've lost interest in things that they used to enjoy, maybe no longer hanging out with friends, you kind of see them more down, isolating.
Even though today's training was about teachers assisting their students in need of mental health care, the information provided can be helpful to anyone across all ages. ECISD and Permian Care will continue working together to make sure all their teachers are trained. Still ahead, Boeing factory workers finally accepting a deal or continuing their 3-week strike. The latest details are up next. Whether to finally accept a contract offer or end their weeks-long strike. That's the question, as the troubled aviation company's latest offer includes a 38% raise over 4 years and increased company contributions to their 401k plans, but does not restore the pensions. More than 30,000 union members walked off the job more than 2 months ago, demanding a return to traditional pension plans. Union leaders are urging them to accept the Boeing deal.
I didn't come into this with a pension, and I understand my brothers and sisters in the union want, what's right. And it's not that we don't deserve it, but it's just Boeing doesn't want to push forward right now. Well, let's fight for it later. I got to keep my eyes on the prize and see, take care of my family one way or another. And this contract is fair for today.
Boeing's airplane production was brought to a near halt amid the strike, costing the company $50 million a day.
We're seeing cooler weather move into the area. In fact, things are going to get a little chilly overnight tonight. We'll talk about how cold it's going to get and if we're going to see more fall conditions coming up next.
Now, from the First Alert 7 Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, we got plenty of clouds out there and some cooler air rolling into the area. Satellite and radar view showing a little bit of green, but it's mostly clouds is what we're seeing at the present time. And moving across, that's associated with the last part of this front. Now, it is showers back here, it looks like, around the Ozona area up towards San Angelo. As we do have this whole storm system here starting to move out of New Mexico into the Texas Panhandle and off to the north and northeast. The severe storms today have been across portions of central and east Texas, lining up from San Antonio up towards the Dallas area. Probably a few flight delays associated with all that mess going across right now. Again, we're pretty dry in here in the Permian Basin from all this, but we do have plenty of clouds and a chilly northwest wind really trying to move in. As this next trough starts to roll into the area, this front hustling off to the east and southeast, and temperatures behind the front, well, we're down into the upper 40s in Lubbock, 40 in Albuquerque right now, 53 in El Paso, and starting to cool off a little bit with 59 here across the Midland, Odessa area and the Permian Basin. Now these winds are going to come down quite a bit. The gusts will get below 20 miles an hour first thing in the morning and not be all that bad as we move in towards the next 24 hours. So it looks like Election Day, things are going to be a-okay. So for the rest of tonight, again, things are a little on the chilly side. Here's what we are looking at. Seeing temperatures down around 40 to the upper 30s. So bundle up as you head off to work and school first thing in the morning. It's going to feel fall cold out there. And then for tomorrow, we're going to warm up a little bit, but still very nice, though, into the upper 60s to low 70s. Temperatures running a little bit below where they should be this time of the year, so things will be a little bit cooler. And your First Alert 7 10-day forecast shows nice Election Day, even nicer Wednesday coming up with temperatures at 76 degrees. Then we start to get into the influence of the next storm system and cold front. That'll be rolling through coming up on Friday. Before it, though, we could see some rain showers, thunderstorms, about a 40% chance there on Thursday. But then cooler weather, looking good for area football games. Just probably need a jacket. And then Saturday and Sunday, some great weather coming up for the weekend, and that should continue into Veterans Day.
Up next here at 9, CASA of West Texas swore in one of their largest classes today. We'll tell you more about it up next. CASA of West Texas held a swearing-in ceremony for 7 community members to become new volunteers earlier today at the Midland County Courthouse. These volunteers have now joined the front line in protecting abused and neglected children. They took an oath of service, receiving a certificate, and also penned as official CASA volunteers, gaining the ability to serve over 200 children in 10 counties. This is one of the bigger training classes CASA of West Texas has ever had. And CASA says they want their volunteers to reflect the children they serve.
So we actually look for all kinds of people from all different walks of life. There's not one specific type of person or one specific type of volunteer that we look for because we see kids from all walks of life, from all backgrounds come through the foster care system. I will say the one thing that all of our volunteers have in common is a passion for kids and a passion to see them thrive.
To become a volunteer, you are required to submit an application, pass a background check, and an in-person interview, and complete 39 hours of training over the course of about 6 to 7 weeks. For more information on becoming a CASA volunteer, you can visit this story on our website, firstalert7.com. Still ahead, don't know what to do with your jack-o'-lantern now that Halloween is over? Well, we may have a solution for you. It's coming up next. All right, before we go, you ever wonder what to do with your leftover pumpkins after Halloween? You know, everybody's had these pumpkin patches and all, and you buy lots of them and you decorate with them. What do you do with them afterwards? Well, one animal sanctuary is taking in all donations for a good cause. They're animals. This is the Hope Haven in Pittsburgh. Emus, pigs of all sizes, turkeys, and more absolutely love those pumpkins. And not just any old pumpkin, though. They have to be intact and safe for animals to eat. As you can see, the residents there truly enjoy these pumpkins. They consider it a seasonal treat, but there's not much left of it once they get into it. But again, they want to make sure that they're still intact. You don't want to cut them up or anything like that. They want them whole, and then they can break them open and let them enjoy.
Fattening up those turkeys.
Fattening up those turkeys just in time for Turkey Day.
Because it's not that far away.
It's around the corner, man. We're weeks away, right?
Let's see. We've got about 24 days till Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So it's not that far away. Christmas, not that far away either.
Knocking on the door, isn't it?
And finally, we're getting some fall weather out there as temperatures have cooled off to 59 degrees. Chilly by the morning down to 40.
Oh boy, bundle up. Thanks for joining us. We have more news tonight at 10.